Today, our verse is Acts chapter 20, verse 34. You yourselves know that these hands ministered to my necessities and to those who were with me. Paul, in the narrative, addresses the elders in Ephesus on his return from one of his missionary journeys. Paul had spent a reasonable length of time previously in Ephesus. On this occasion, he is on his way to Jerusalem and tells the people that he is unsure what his fate will be in the future. He therefore admonished the elders to pay attention to the flock as fierce wolves will attack after he leaves them. Acts 20:28-30. He then reminds them that he did not relax preaching and teaching the doctrine of faith for the 3 years he spent with them. My interest is the way Paul wants the elders to comport themselves. In verse 33 he says, I coveted no one's silver or gold or apparel, that is clothing. To covet is to focus on what others have. Instead, Paul tells them that he worked with his hands. There are two parts to this verse. Paul worked to sustain himself, and then he provided for those who worked with him. He worked to earn his own living. He was not a burden to the community, demanding that they provide all his necessities. Paul seems to have maintained this way of life. He tells the Corinthians, when I was with you and was in need, I did not burden anyone. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 9. Also read 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 13. He tells the Thessalonians the same thing. For you remember, brothers, our labor and toil. We worked night and day, that we might not be a burden to any of you, while we proclaimed to you the gospel of God. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 9. And in another place he says, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it, but with toil and labor we worked night and day, and that we might not be a burden to any of you. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 8. However, Paul is also conscious that he ought to be provided for by the community he serves. Read 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 14. But it is his choice to work and not be a burden to any of his communities. From the work he did, he also assisted his co-workers. I like to speak to religious leaders today. I hope our flock do not see us as burdens to them. It would appear that many priests and pastors today are insatiable. The people of God are generous and they provide for our sustainers. We should be grateful to them. But it appears that some of us take advantage of the generosity of the people. We live beyond the level of those to whom we are ministering. Our affluence and style of living may be scandalous sometimes. We can learn from Paul that we can take on some work that could even support us, and sometimes even support some of our flock, especially in more impoverished communities. Lord, help your ministers live simple lives devoid of materialism. Amen. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.